Meeting to order, we stand for the pledge. 9:01.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome you all to the June 18th of the meeting, Welsh County Commission meeting. Remember that we are on Zoom, and please talk one at a time and let me know if you want to speak. I might give you permission. No, just kidding. We'll start with additions to the agenda. Christie?
None.
Ernie?
Housing Authority, just a quick update. What'd you say? Housing Authority?
Danny?
Maybe a jail update.
Okay, so you're going to give an update or you're asking for an update?
Everybody here, Ron and you and I.
Okay. Do we have anything right now since last time?
Not really, but
Okay,
we can work on something.
well, I've got a tight schedule here, so I mean. Amy? Nothing. Christie? No, I have just a little update on the logo.
On the logo?
Logo. Okay, we have. Just a second, I'm gonna pull this up. Everyone has gotten the minutes and read them and the monthly billing. Do we have a motion to accept them?
So moved.
Second. Okay. Any more discussion or questions on? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Okay. Employee time. Nobody's here, so how about if we do the jail update? Is that okay?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
I just saw it. Oh, the food's going on, that ain't done.
Yeah, it's been fun, certainly.
One more.
The magic.
We should add that, because we gotta sign it and get it approved.
Good morning.
Morning.
We had a meeting 2 weeks ago with Sid Samuels and we have not had another meeting scheduled. We're working on some of the finance part of it. And we will be scheduling another meeting then this week or next week, so it's really all I have right now.
I did actually send out a text for people about having a meeting next week, but I didn't get a response from anybody.
I didn't get a text.
Well,
I don't think I
our
did.
jail committee.
Oh,
So if you wanna look at that,
Well, and
I sent it yesterday.
I'm on the finance committee and I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, it wouldn't include you though, it would just.
Oh, but you said there was something with finance and I haven't
I
heard
know-
anything.
I know Tanya and Christie are working on some of the finance part
Oh,
of that.
oh, so not a meeting, just,
Not a meeting,
oh,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something.
no, it's the jail committee, so. Okay,
I think that's all I have on that.
it'd be nice to get something. I'm getting a lot of questions from the public and don't know what to tell them.
Yeah, and
we don't.
I think, yes, I understand, and I've been getting some of those too. We just want to make sure that we get, things figured out and we're able to roll it out to the public, and that will come within the next several months. So, it's been a long and slow process, but just know that we continue to working hard at getting a good final product to the, there is progress being made. I know it's not as quick as we would like it. It's not as quick as I would like it, but it takes time and we're diligently working on that, so.
We got one chance to do it and we wanna make sure we do it right and we're just not comfortable where we're at right now, so.
Yeah.
There's still some work to do and we're continuing to work on that.
We just had the election and, you know, our auditor's busy and she can't drop things. We have other meetings coming up that we have to concentrate on and so.
So there we are.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, I will call Caitlin Atkinson's up for a Vision Zero update.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
When I was preparing for today, when I scheduled this a couple weeks ago, I had a very different plan looking, that I do today. I plan to come in, talk about the partnership that we have built with the sheriff's office, how they utilize some of our resources with Vision Zero. But unfortunately, that plan changed, 2 weekends ago. When I found out about the fatality, just west of here, that's the direction. I definitely wanted to come in and acknowledge that. Also, like in a county and in communities that are smaller, they rock the entire community. There's not one person that's not impacted. And every time I get those emails, we get an email from Maria, and I always say, I love Maria. But I don't like when Maria emails me because it's always about a crash or a fatality that happened on North Dakota roads. And when that email came through, that was not one I was excited to see by any means. As coordinators, we are housed in regions. I cover about a quarter of the state, the northeast corner. I cover 14 counties at the moment. And when one of my counties are affected, I take it personally. That is not something I take lightly, as none of our coordinators do. And unfortunately, if you follow the Highway Patrol on Facebook, you've probably seen an abundance of fatal crashes happening across the state. We refer to this as the 100 deadly days of summer. Traditionally, this is focused on teen drivers. That has not been the case for North Dakota this year. These have been the average person, average adult that, whether it's, they made a choice or someone else made a choice, it's not ending well. I'm helped by the Grand Forks County Sheriff's Office, so we just got completely rocked by the death of a 5-year-old girl who was hit by her vehicle was hit by a drunk driver. We're feeling it all over, and I know that, again, these smaller, more rural counties, it's family. And these are people that we know and we see on a regular basis. So as I walked in here today, unfortunately, I don't have as quite of a chipper tone as I probably would have, but it's hard when we're facing these losses. I wanted to be able to share with you guys some of the data, because that's something people often look for when things like this happen. And so I actually worked with the DOT in our Highway Safety Division to pull a report. You guys are actually the first county to get any 2023 data for your county. That was just finalized 2 weeks ago. And so there's 2 reports in there for you. One breaks down serious injuries, which was the first one, or one on top. And that is where people were seriously injured, but they did not have any fatal injuries. The second one is a breakdown of the 10 fatalities that have been seen from 2018 through 2023. That one obviously is not going to include anything from 2024, but it kind of gives you an idea of some hot spots. It also breaks down different road conditions, what is causing these crashes or what's involved. So there's a couple things that stood out to me because I combed through these. I have probably looked at these each 15 times. Just to try to grasp what we're seeing here, to hopefully shed some light on things. The first thing I noticed is that these more serious and fatal crashes are happening on rural roads. These are not happening within city limits. You guys have fairly slow speed limits, which is great. And that helps keep things a little bit safer. When we get on those highways, is where we're seeing the more serious issues. The second thing, is when I look at fatal crashes. So again, there's been 10 of those over the last 5 or 6 years. 9 out of those 10 have been caused by lane departure. So when we say lane departure, they left the roadway in some capacity. And I think there was 7 rollovers, single vehicle rollovers. So again, they're not getting hit and rolled over, they're typically leaving the roadway and their vehicle is rolling. The other thing that comes into play when we look at that is, the use of a seatbelt. Now, North Dakota did change the law, last August, that we now have a primary belt law. It is by law required that anyone in the vehicle is buckled up, front seat, back seat, age doesn't matter. The exception being children, under the age of 8 need to be in a booster seat or car seat. We know that when seatbelts are worn, it is your first line of defense in a crash. And so that is a message we put forward, very often. It's conversations we have with teens when we're in the high schools. We go into elementary schools, we do buckle up with Bucky and talk about why we wear seatbelts. The vehicles are designed to work with the seatbelt. If you're not in your spot, the airbags can't protect you. The compartmentalization doesn't work because the crumples over in the front, and possibly crumpling on you, which is not ideal either. So that's a message we push forward kind of standard, just because we know kind of the science behind it and how they have had an impact. The other thing that was noted for me on North that caught my eyes, most of these are happening, 76% of serious injury crashes and 80% of fatal crashes happen on dry roads. It's not weather impact. A lot of times we like to use, oh, we have crappy winter weather, right? This year we had how many days that were just straight ice? People tend to slow down and kind of respect the roads a little bit more when that's the case, but when they're dry, they get comfortable. They may be a little easier, oh, I'll just check this text really quick, or roads are fine, I don't need to wear my seatbelt, I'll be fine. It's a false sense of safety is basically what good weather and road conditions give. So that's broken down in that information as well. I have access to other data if there's ever things you guys want to see. I can work with the DOT to get information, and Ron has access to an abundance of information as well through their tracking system, hotspots, that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, my goal, I can't be a sheriff's deputy. I'm not rolling around in a squad car pulling people over. That's not my job. My job is to prevent them from having to respond to those crashes. I will never forget one of my first interactions with one of the deputies in Grand Forks. He was telling me about a fatal crash he responded to. And he could not reiterate enough. It's stuff you don't unsee. It's stuff you don't forget. Every time you drive past that spot, you see it. And so if I can support our law enforcement in preventing that from happening, whether that is through Buckle Up with Bucky, Impacting Drivers is another program we offer, focusing on reckless and distracted driving at the teen level. We have booths and events at different events around the state where we play trivia. We have the Buckle Up Phone Down Challenge out. People can interact with us, ask us questions. And so at this point, we're doing a couple things in Walsh County. I work regularly with the sheriff's office to that with my tools, drunk goggles, computer simulator, we have a mini seatbelt convincer. Some of those tools are also in that packet. It's the last page. We loan those out. I bring them places. I'm traveling a little less at the moment. I have about 7 weeks up for my due date, so my travel's a little less and I can't lift quite as much. But as soon as I'm back, I will be hauling all of the things all over. I have access to a pedal cart as well, the drunk goggles, and the Sydney, which is a powered go-kart, which is a phenomenal tool for teens, community events, to really focus on impaired driving and why we don't do that and the risks that come with that. So I've also been having conversations with Grafton High School about becoming a Vision Zero school. Back in 2018, Park River was actually designated as the first Vision Zero community in North Dakota. That program was before my time. I didn't start until the end of 2020. And by that point, Vision Zero as a whole had kind of been evolving. And that program unfortunately kind of fell to the wayside a little bit. So the follow through wasn't able to be there. And so when our positions were added in 2020 and the beginning of 2021, we started looking at the school level as kind of where the DOT was pushing us to look at how can we expand at the school level. And so Vision Zero Schools is a phenomenal program that has launched in nearly a dozen schools across the state. And it's a 2-year program. We have kind of that timeline, we have the option to renew after that. And the students become the ambassadors. It's not me going in and doing all these things because if you have kids, if you've been in high school, you know that their friends and other teens have a bigger impact than adults in their lives a lot of times, especially when it comes to peer pressure behind the wheel, that sort of thing. So that program, the students are the ambassadors, they focus their attention on the area they feel is important for their school. You said speed. Do they know that a lot of their friends are driving impaired? Do they want to focus on seatbelts? They have the option to do buckle up, phone down, which is again, that initiative where we look at seatbelts and distracted driving. So they really do get to run with the program. We bring in a professional videographer and photographer. We make banners, we make video PSAs, we make posters, we do surveys. And so there's some requirements to go with that program, but it's much more flexible than the original idea of Vision Zero communities. And so we're looking at how Vision Zero schools is going to spread into the community. And that's one thing we focus on. How do we get this beyond just your school? Because your teen drivers are not the only ones on the road. And so that's been a really fun thing as well. All of that being said, I wish I could get in the car with every single person that is on the road in my region, and but I can't. That's not feasible, that's not, never gonna be an option. But I can't, so I can't. But if we can get messaging to people, just as those little reminders, hey, buckle up. Hey, this is why. Hey, this campaign is going on right now. When we were doing that, I'm working with Lisa over at the sheriff's office and looking at adding flags and some messaging to the big events you guys have coming up for Summerfest and the 4th of July Festival. I'm excited. We have stuff on order that's gonna get here, and we're gonna have just a reminder, buckle up, drive sober flags. These are standard messages that are really relevant to community events, whether it's in Walsh County or Ruby County. It doesn't matter. We want people buckling up, and we want them driving sober, and we want them driving distraction free. So we're gonna do what we can there. And then we're still pushing forward with Vision Zero schools. But really, we have endless options. I have the ability to find resources, to find partners, to kind of reach however or wherever you guys also feel. So with all that being said, if you guys ever have ideas now, later, 5 years down the road, let us know, because we are here to help you guys make sure your roads are as safe as they can be. So.
Okay. Ernie?
Do you ever keep the contact or update with the DOT? And the reason I'm asking that is when they put these rumble strips and everything else, I just talked to somebody. They got in a heck of an accident and the front end of their car was just way out of line. They hit one of those potholes in the middle of the road caused by those rumble strips. And I don't get it why in North Dakota we're doing it. And to me, if you're talking driver safety, vision safety or whatever, they should be known or talked to, or I've done it a couple of times, but I don't know why we're doing it. And you talk about safety to me, now they're tarring over them and then you get ice and everything. To me, it's a bigger hazard than what we got.
It's funny, I would even bring that up because I actually had a conversation with the Grand Forks County engineer. And he goes, it's kind of hard for us to put rumble strips in when we make these really nice roads and then we damage them right away. And so we get that. And unfortunately, our weather doesn't help those stay maintained very well. Like you said, kind of the potholes become issues, that sort of thing. I'm not an engineer, so I don't necessarily have any say in those, nor do I have all the science behind them. I know there is science saying that they're effective, but they do definitely do some damage to our roads. And in turn, like you said, it can absolutely cause damage to cars, especially as they break out. And those, I find the center line ones are probably the worst for that. I talk to the state DOT often. I do have a good relationship with the county engineer in Grand Forks, but each of those departments are making decisions as well as getting guidance from the state DOT.
I think they're safe for the first year, but by the third year, when they start getting big holes, then we go the other way. And that's my,
Yeah.
and then they don't fix them and now we got bigger trouble.
Yeah.
Danny?
Biggest thing I see when I'm driving is cell phones.
Mhm.
People on their cell phones all the time. It's just like driving me nuts.
Yeah, so in Cass County, our coordinator of Fargo, she worked with the highway department to get their sensors. So basically it's a temperature sensor. It doesn't track license plate, it doesn't track vehicle type, doesn't take any video, no pictures, anything like that. But what it does is it can sense, because your cell phone is colder than your body temperature, it can sense if you're distracted, and then a little further down the road, it actually will pop up a message saying, drive distraction fee free, something like that. So that was a pilot program out of Cass County. That they're in the middle of all of that, and so if that takes off and that does really well, I foresee those spreading across the state, fairly quickly. Because distracted driving is awful. The last statistic I heard is it's 6 times more dangerous than impaired driving. Because when people are impaired, they tend to try to overcompensate. Where when you're distracted, you're just not paying attention at all.
Amy,
My Sydney did, she's now 17, but we went to the Grand Forks event, the Vision Zero event, so she
Yes.
got to participate, and it was just an amazing event for her to put the goggles on and to drive. She did it when she was 15, and that goes all around the state, right? Like it goes to the
Yes.
different areas. And I just think it's a fantastic program to empower kids in schools to be the leaders, because we are known for that in this area. So the best way to get these kids, you know, to be the leaders in it, I think that's how you're gonna have the most impact, that will spread to the community as well. So good work.
And that program, actually, we were expanding a little bit. It's happening in Minot tomorrow. Bismarck will be in August, and then next year, so we flip-flop sides of the state. And so, next year it will be in Fargo and Grand Forks, where previously we would do one city on each side of the state. So this, we basically doubled, so we can reach double the teams, because we have found such great benefits with that program.
Ron, did you have?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the sheriff's office has been really proud to partner with Vision Zero. If we can prevent one fatality in Walsh County, I think it is well worth it. I know there's been some feedback about us and, the patrol we've had in stopping people, for seatbelts and other stuff. But that's an effort to try and prevent some of the fatalities we've had in our area. Like Caitlin said, it not only affects the families, but the communities. It also affects us. We're people too, and we have to live with that for the rest of our lives. So if we can prevent that from happening to another family, it's well worth it in my eyes.
Okay.
Can I just ask, how young do you start with promoting some of these things at the schools? What grade level?
Elementary, so there, we can't go all the way down to kindergarten, but they tend to retain more when we hit that second, third grade type timeframe. So. And then most of that is definitely seatbelt safety. We have found, I got feedback from one parent who, ever since you came in, my kid tells me to buckle up all the time, and I'm like, well, I have to be the driver you want your kid to be, right?
I honestly even think the texting and distracted driving down to the kindergarten level would work, because I've heard my granddaughter say something about a phone in the vehicle, so they pick it up, and she's in kindergarten.
Yes.
So they pick it up, so I think you could go all the way down to that level.
Yeah, and if we get requests for it, we absolutely do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
Okay.
perfect.
Well,
Thank you guys
so much for coming, Caitlin.
My business cards are in those folders as well, so if you guys ever need anything, don't hesitate.
Okay, we definitely want to support Vision Zero.
Thank you so much.
I'll call up Terry Novak next.
Thank you. That was very interesting with the Vision Zero. It's changing times. I think all industries are in changing times, and today, that's all we kind of wanted to do is to bring awareness to what's going on. I think there are a lot of things that people just don't understand, one of them being a septic system. We'll just kind of roll into that. So we're here representing NADAWRA, which is North Dakota On-Site Wastewater Recycling Association. Obviously, they were short and the long names, I had to choose this one, but anyway. Basically, what we are as a state association, we're the voice for the contractor and the homeowner. Things have evolved. The days of a simple system where you would dig a hole, throw some rock in, and those days are gone. I also, my family also cleans those septic tanks, so I see a lot of things, and I go out and I find a system that isn't working right away. Well, why? Why isn't? Well, geez, we dug that hole, put rock in there 25 years ago, it should still be working. Times are different. We're all aware of protecting our water supply for future generations and so forth. I also because of my interest in this, I became a licensed septic inspector. So if somebody is selling a house, they have to have the septic system inspected before the bank will loan the money. With that, systems are more expensive than they used to be. When the homeowner hears that it's 20,000 versus 2,000, they put on the brakes, they don't wanna go any further than that. What we're finding out is there are a lot of gray areas in this, and as I said, we're a voice for the contractor and homeowner. In that, we've gotten a lot of feedback as an association. And we want to bring it forward to the commission and to your local governments to see what direction they want to go. In our research, it's not just our research, it's well known, but there are some counties that are with the health department, some are on their own, some are wide open. What's happening when they find out a price, they'll just go and put in their own little system and not say anything. So in that aspect, things aren't being helped, they're actually hurting. People are afraid that Big Brother is watching and, well, let's just do this after hours, after whatever, and we'll slap it in, nobody will know it. So that's not helping. Our theory is, we want to protect things as well, so we don't want to do something that's gonna cause septic to be surfacing. If that would happen, we say, well, then there's the DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, they can come out and say, hey, we've got a complaint from the neighbor, we need to do something here. That's kind of the way that we feel the ball should roll. I'm gonna turn it over to Bruce Ellingson, he's one step above us, he's actually on a committee appointed by the governor, a technical committee to oversee us. And they're trying to make a uniform code so everybody's on the same page, so everybody knows where we're headed. Not that the health department is bad or that some contractors are bad. We're all here for the same reason. We just want to be on the same page. So Bruce, do you want to kind of, if I may?
Yes, go ahead, Bruce.
Yep. I learned working on the reservation, always lead with something. I'm Bruce Ellingson, Jay Evans here from Grand Forks Health Department. I've worked with them for many years on the projects I've done, and I've had good luck. But things are changing. I was on, the governor appointed me on this other commission, this other board 3 years ago, and what that board is, and I should have brought that statement. Mission statement wasn't mentioned. It was to resolve to get a uniform code. So that everybody has to follow one program. One way of doing it to do the proper way. Like Terry said, there was people digging holes, they were putting straw in for drain fields, they were putting them 8 feet deep, they were putting car bodies in. All of that has happened. We are in the, and it's changing now with so much turmoil or so much. This county can do it this way, this person can do it this way, it's gonna go back to that, because what I see, and I can't talk as I'm a member of that committee, but we're drying up the facts, and we've worked very hard on it. We were 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, we were on a meeting in Bismarck. Resolving the going through the book, the spec book, and changing things that change, right? It doesn't help. If this county ain't using it, and this county's using a different way of program, this county's using it. You're gonna come playing basketball in a hockey uniform. It ain't gonna work.
No.
It ain't gonna end. And these systems are upwards of 20,000 now. You know, I mean, it isn't like. It isn't like it was back in the day. But it's getting back to that. Because people can go to Acme or go to Bobcat and rent a mini excavator and throw their own in. It just ain't working. And they're not listening, so the reason I'm here today. Is to try to uniform this thing. And on my committee in Bismarck, there's three health regulators are on it, so we were supposed to work together. And I used the word supposed. You know, It's, we did the best we can, we got that septic, book done. But it's could be just as well this. A blank sheet. Because some people are using it, some people aren't. Yeah. You're gonna have. And what's happening in our Nadaura? People are dropping out of the Nadaura. People are, I mean contractors that have been in this thing for 30-some years. They're quitting. They're quitting installing, or they are helping install on weekends. There's no repercussion if you do it. So it's a tiger by the tail. I don't know how we're gonna fix this problem. I think legislation is gonna fix this problem. I think the state legislatures are fed up with us going there every 2 years, asking for a program, getting a program and nothing else. This fighting's gotta quit. And I'm not against health departments. I think they have a purpose. I think anytime that sewage is backing up into your house or sewage is surfacing on the ground, that's a concern. But somehow or another, this state, then I had a big county, I'm rambling, of course, I love to talk. I had a big county. And we'll get that paperwork and we'll get it to you guys when we're done with it. But I had a big county tell me the North Dakota State Plumbing Board does not have any regs on sewage systems. Yes, they do. It's in our book. It's vague, it's light. But they do. And I'm not looking to go back to what I call cowboy system. I'm looking at a program, we have and I'm getting pretty close here. I think we have like 1,200 to 800 to 1,400 permits a year are given for septic systems in the state. North Carolina has 40,000. Texas has 29,000. We've been through that other committee, we've been following that, we've been talking to them people, we've been drawing them people into our meetings to get experts, to get this thing right, because whether I like it or not, or whether we like it or not, North Dakota's changing. We're coming into the new system that, and we should. But you can't stifle. If we lose our 30-year contractors, our 25-year contractors, if we lose them, it's gonna go back to cowboy. It's gonna go back because they're the ones that are just like your peer pressure to these kids. I'm 67 years old. Somebody's gonna take my thing over in 70, 80 years when I'm retired. No, but so it's time to change that. And then who wants it? You can go out and do a different job and work hourly and make much more than you can in a septic system and no hassles. Now, I'm not saying that they don't need regulations. We all need that. But if you have a speed limit in Walsh County of 60 miles an hour and in Ramsey County 100 miles an hour, what are you gonna do? We gotta have the same system. Down to the fact, one knock, and I've knocked it in Bismarck and they got it on records right now. Down to the fact that the health departments have had this thing since like 14 years, 12 to 14 years. Yeah. We can get a license for $25. Minot pays $250. They can't even get the system set that scheduled. Don't go 250 until I sign. But we can't do that. There's no
Yeah, consistent.
consistency. And if a health department is wrong, there's no repercussions. Good contractors saying, the heck with it, I'm not gonna do it, and that's where I got involved in this thing, and, I think we're going, it's gonna change whether we want it or not, because it's gonna, people are fed up with it. Contractors are fed up with it, the goal by the North Dakota State Health Department, or North Dakota State Plumbing Board specs. No more, no less. You do not have to have a rocket scientist to make sewage go downhill.
Mhm.
You don't. There was a friend of mine, a colleague, he's been in this thing as long as I have. I asked him this morning, I said, have you ever had a system fail because of your putting in? Absolutely, he said he's had 2 sales fail. One was because they added about 6 campers to it. Yeah, the other one was a whole bunch of families came in, you know. So no contractor is going to do shoddy work, because he ain't gonna be there long. In this state, everybody's a relative,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's gonna travel fast.
So Bruce.
Yeah.
I agree, it probably is gonna get, dealt with legislatively,
Yeah.
but what can we do now in the county to help?
Be aware, just be aware, because be aware, because I think be aware, I don't say change, be aware that change is coming. Whether we like it or not, I don't see any. And I will there's things that this Nodara is doing, and in that, other committee I'm on, I don't even remember what it's called, in that other committee, we report back to the legislature on recommendations. I was informed it's a recommendation.
What committee do you go to?
Septic, sewer and water committee in Bismarck. It was a special committee. I'm on that committee. It's a special,
Committee.
the technical committee that was 2 years ago. The governor, put us on there, appointed us. And I was so lucky, but
Ernie, do you have a question?
I'll let him finish. now.
yeah, but I just want you to know that we are, there's change coming that we're going to recommend over there. And we're gonna recommend here, and we'll keep you guys updated on what you're on. There's, it's a mess. It ain't just a mess in Walsh County, you guys. It's a mess all over.
I wanna thank Bruce, I asked him about this and I called him a couple of weeks because I had complaints from our
Yeah.
contractors and the inconsistency. And then these guys were telling me about how in Grand Forks or other, I won't name counties, I guess, in any counties. Ours gotta go through this system and they go to classes and everything else, and another guy can go to a 2-hour movie and go buy a backhoe and then we can install our own. And I stressed to him, and I've said it since day one, and I talked to Alan. I want all counties being treated the same,
Yeah.
because right now I think Walsh County, we're trying to hold the standards and maybe
Yeah.
they're too high. And then it's costing our contractors and our people a lot of money. So that's why. Just consistency, and you said you're gonna try to get a hold of all the counties and.
We are doing it, but yes, it is inconsistency. I know of contractors that have, every 3 years, the Dowra is the one that puts the training session on. And it's a mandatory that the contractor to come here once every 3 years and get updated, once or at minimum, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
And so, some of these guys at 30 years, they should be given this class. You know, I mean, and the new ones aren't really coming because they just bah humbug. There's another thing. There's no, as I said, the health department has no repercussions.
No consequences.
And there isn't for contractors if they put shoddy work in.
So that's where, the legislature comes
It's-
in and then they
Yes.
say.
Yes, and
This
then,
is what's-
and then if the health departments won't return your calls, I've had contractors that have waited 3 days for an inspection on the thing back. Not in our county, but in counties, they've waited 3 days. You take $150,000-200,000 worth of equipment in October waiting.
Yeah.
That you can't, and then you keep that open, it's gonna freeze. And, well, you know.
Or get 2 inches of rain like.
Whatever, yeah. So the contractor's gotta go. And, but if you let them go, you will let shoddy ones come in and you'll have that car body going again.
Yep. So Bruce, I wanna give the health department
Yeah.
a chance to speak to Javen, if you
Yeah.
wanna say anything. Or if
Yeah,
you want to.
I'd be happy to. These guys should be commended for their efforts and their passion in this, and we all have the same goals of more uniformity. A bit of history, you know, the health interest in this is, pretty basic public health. We want to keep it out of our food and water. Best way to do it is right where it's collected, we know how to treat it. There was, the plumbing board had septic regulations, they were not enforced locally. And because of issues with that, that's where local public health units started stepping in and taking that on, to protect neighbors from sewage overflows and those things. I don't know that we're necessarily married to it, but in talking with colleagues and counterparts in other states, the principle that we're concerned with is not having a self-regulating industry, so it should be a third-party oversight. And I feel for these guys. I come from a small community myself. We're kind of in a pickle. And that is, there's people doing things that they ought not. They don't want to turn them in because they're their neighbors and they have to live with these folks. I'm the bad big brother. If I catch that and I'm not everywhere, I can't be everywhere. I only know what I know. I'm not out looking for problems. What we really want is the new ones going in to be installed appropriately. And we know how to do that. We made the effort, we made a uniform code, we tried to get it adopted as much locally as we can. I serve 2 counties that didn't want it. There's no code there. And that is a problem, and it's a problem when these guys get undercut by anyone who can go borrow a backhoe and do it without my knowledge. And it's a real challenge. I don't know how to fix that without being that big brother, and we just can't be everywhere. So it's kind of people that we're in. I think the best thing we can do is we agree on uniformity. We tried that. Some of the compromises made systems a little bit bigger. To try to allow these contractors to have the same playing field across multiple jurisdictions and get one license that's recognized. So progress is made, we're far from perfect. It's our hope too that it's a state level program.
Well, I know I'll be here for 12 years and that's when this started. And, we talked about all that, we had meetings. I thought that everybody had to have this done right, or there would be consequences. Not only to the installer, but the homeowner, and apparently not, everybody still can do what they wanna do.
They're not supposed to, but we serve 5 counties out of Grand Forks. We get $35,000 a year from the state to do it.
So,
So that's our budget.
but so then what is consequences if they don't do it right?
If we know about it, through the health officer, we can order them to correct it.
Okay, well,
And that would be the same thing as if the sewage is flowing into someone else's yard, that's a public health hazard.
okay,
They would have the authority to correct that.
okay, there's
DEQ
no,
should also step in if there's water pollution right through waterways, so they have an interest in this as well.
okay, Bruce, do you?
Oh, yeah.
We have about,
A
8
minute?
more minutes.
Okay,
No.
keep me on.
We gave you enough time.
Number one, the health departments were brought in for educational only. They now have slowly glaciarized into developing, into enforcement, into regulations, they do know they do not. They do not need to put their regulators, their. Paperwork in, follow the state plumbing board. They tell me that that contractors cannot be self-regulated. We heard that. North Dakota State Plumbing Board is not a state agency. It is made up of plumbers. They hire their own inspectors, and they get spanked if they do something wrong inside the house. Once it's out of the house, North Dakota State don't want us. Nobody wants us. We're the B child, okay? Number two. No, so that they talk about overextending, building bigger designs. They got a state regulation, or they tried, and which we're changing. They base it on 150 gallons of water per bedroom. Per month, okay? You take 150 gallons times 3. Take that and then take that times a 3-bedroom house, take that times 12. I asked this Brian over at Walsh Water, what's the average amount of water that they're using? 2,500 on a 3-bedroom house. Over designing doesn't work because all you're making is skunk nests and rats. So there's a lot of things that aren't right. They took too much power.
You gotta use common sense.
And so don't tell me that we can't regulate when the plumbers are regulating in their house. The electricians are regulating their people, doctors are regulating their people, but septic guys can't.
Well, we don't need another agency.
No,
In the.
And the state ain't gonna give any money for it. No, but it was glacierized, is the only way to say it. It was glacierized where they've taken on too much power. Go back to the state plumbing board. They license us, and I'll bring this up.
Well, couldn't that be in a bill that it just?
It will be.
Yeah.
There was a bill we had, but we got so we kicked it out last night. They license us, the health departments license us. I pay a North Dakota State contractor's license, I pay a sewer and water license from the state plumbing board, and I pay one from the county. Somebody can rent it back and look at it. I asked the state, and I've been on it for 2 years, I asked the state attorney general. Why can the health department's license, I'm gonna license you to drive. Same thing. There's, and they've told me, it's not right to them, they're not supposed to license, okay? Okay, somewhere along the line that got glacierized. So, but now people that are smarter than me and bigger than me and more powerful than me have asked the attorney general for an opinion. So now we'll get an opinion. So I will let you guys know when that happens.
Okay, well, Terry, do you have anything more?
Thanks, guys.
Update?
Thank you.
No, I think everybody kind of has a rough idea now,
Okay.
just to bring awareness of what's happening.
Okay, well, I appreciate you guys coming in. Christy, you have a question?
I think we should give
Oh,
Alan.
Alan,
Yeah, I
I'm
was
sorry,
just gonna
Alan.
say that, I do think this is a very complex issue. A statewide uniform code would go a very long way with this whole thing. I think Jabin said it best. As health departments, we are not married to septic systems. And if there can be workable solutions with everybody at the table, but I understand that's been challenging. I will say that in Walsh County, we have fielded calls and have checked out and inspected systems that have gone in improperly. And that has been part of it, but we only know what we know.
Yep.
And we do have people that apply to self-install and have followed the regs. And when Jake was out here too, he would go out there, do the, design consult, that kind of thing too. So there is some of that. I'm sure there's the fly-by-night operations going on too, but
Sure.
we contract essentially with Grand Forks on the most shoestring budget you've ever seen to make it happen up here. It's unfortunate that other counties are not not doing it, because I do think it serves the public the best.
Yeah.
To have a code in place.
Okay, well, thank you guys for coming in and letting us know. I mean, it was a good update for us and to see what's going on. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck. Yeah,
I think it's on your.
thank you.
I got a letter from Dan.
Yeah, okay, we do have one more, let's see, added agenda that we're gonna add quick. We have to sign what is it called, Ernie?
It's a Madison Dam response, for the rehab to the NRCS.
Oh, yes, okay, so,
If you get a break, if you copy that letter so we can sign it, I did it.
okay.
I have it here, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll go with, does anybody need a break? If not, we'll keep going. We'll call Ed up for the Board of Equalization. And so, actually, maybe we will take like, if anybody has to go to the bathroom, because it's gonna be an hour, about an hour.
Yeah, it's not that long, is it?
No, maybe 30 Okay, next we have Ed Sibney with the Walsh County Board of Equalization.
All right, good morning, everyone. We'll reconvene our Board of Equalization. First item today was to finish up the appeal of Matt Byron from last meeting. Myself and Ann Berg were able to go look at his property last week with Matt and ran some numbers using the information we gathered in the way that I would value the property consistent with other jurisdictions. And if you remember, originally the city of Park River approved a value of $525,800 for his house in Park River. I came up with a proposed value of $495,000 after our inspection. Based on the inspection, as well as looking at that list of properties that he gave all of us and updating them with this year's values. Spoke to him again yesterday about the proposed $595,000, and he is satisfied with that value, as is Ann from the city of Park River. So I would recommend to the commission to, first of all, I guess I would answer any questions you have. Would entertain a motion to reduce his valuation from a total truthful value of $525,800 to $495,000 for this 2024 assessment.
I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any more questions? Hearing none, I'll take the roll. Denny?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carried.
All right.
Thanks, Ed.
Yep. So I guess we'll get into, everybody should have a electronic copy as well as a paper copy of the annual equalization report. We'll try to ramble through it here without boring you with numbers, but the first page just shows our sales ratio study that was based off of last year's sales. There's a couple of numbers highlighted on there. The median ratio based on last year's sales for commercial and vacant lots came in at 100%. So that basically tells us our assessment level is at the maximum we could be for commercial and vacant lot properties based on sales. And residential came in at 82%, and that's telling us that our assessment level is at only about 82% of what sales indicated in 2023. So that has spurred a lot of our residential reevaluations and increases this year. The state requires that we get up between 90% and 100%. So a minimum of 8% is what we needed to go. For assessment level, which equated to about 11% evaluation wise. So we have a lot of work to do for local assessment in itself.
What's the time frame on that?
This assessment cycle, it's a yearly thing, so what we'll do now is we'll turn in our assessments, final assessments that you approved today. And the state will run their numbers and make sure we're within tolerance. And the last page of the report, which I'll show you, shows that we are in tolerance now. If you approve the values before you today, barely, but we are there, so.
On the right side of that column, what's that last words and above there? After precision, I can't read mine.
Something.
It's RESA something.
Yeah,
Sales.
that's the way, yeah, total number of residential sales.
Okay.
Yep. Or income for each category, it's the total number of usable sales from 2023.
Thank you.
The highlighted numbers are the main ones that we look at. The next page is just, again, I put that in there every year, is the agricultural value per acre for each county, that we get in late December typically. And that's what you base your recommendation of holding agricultural land valuation steady this year in Walsh County. They said our average value had to be within 90% of $1,027.60. So. The next page shows our agricultural land per acre. Since 2005, you see it climbed steadily there for quite a while. That's when they were lowering the cap rates that they were using to figure out our average value per acre. And then last year, if you remember, we were up roughly 5%, and this year we're essentially unchanged. so. The following page shows what our total true and full valuation to Walsh County has done throughout the years. So you can see it from 2023 to this year's 2024 assessments, we are up about $55.68 million. Majority of that is residential increases, because ag land stayed roughly the same. There was some commercial increases, mainly because of the Walsh Grain property coming out with payment in lieu of taxes. So I'll get into more detailed numbers in a little bit. Page 6, starts looking at a breakdown by jurisdiction. So page 6 starts with Walshville Township. Residential values were up 7.72% in Walshville. Commercial was down 10. I believe there was I can't remember what happened there, demolition or something would change classification. So overall, Walshville will be up a little over 1%. And they did have one property that now qualifies for a farm residence exemption. Pulaski Township, they did have one new house that came on the tax roll this year. So their residential valuation is up 37.9%. The big portion of that is that new construction in Pulaski Township. So overall, their valuation would be up 1.88%. Kind of skipping over the ag on part stuff because they're all right around 0%. So Acton Township did have one parcel where a new mobile home was moved in on a foundation valued as real estate. So their residential valuation was up 23.32%. And overall, they'd be up 1.28% for their township. Please interrupt and ask any questions to it if I stated that. St. Andrews was all just market adjustment increases for residential properties. They were up 16.48%. Hardock Township had two new houses come on the tax roll. One was a pretty high value property in Hardock Township. So they are actually up 49.39% in their residential valuation. A big portion of that was the new construction of those two properties. So overall, it would be up 3.17% for Hardock Township. Harrison Township residential is up 8.52%. That was all just due to market adjustments. A little bit of the one property, a little change in the commercial value. Overall, they would be up 0.7%. Oakwood Township had one property that actually came off of farm residence exemption is now taxable. They did have one property that's continuing an addition and a complete remodel. So overall, their residential valuation is up 17.62%. And a total of 4.09%. Martin Township, these were all market increases for Martin Township. The residential is up 14.59%. Total of 1.62 when you factor in all their valuations for the township. Forest River Township residential valuation is up 11.98%. And they did have one property that is now on a farm residence exemption. Walsh Center, it was all market adjustments. They approved a 11.24% increase to the residential property. So overall 1.31% for their township. Grafton Township, they approved, they left their residential valuations unchanged at their local equalization meeting. Their local assessor wasn't able to update their values for this year's assessment. So I did talk to their board members afterwards, and due to not meeting tolerance and all the other townships going up significantly, I did do a 5% increase to all the properties and residential properties in Grafton Township. They had one property come off of a farm residence exemption, two that are now on a farm residence exemption, and then one property added a new shop to the residential property. So here's the new construction.
So they just didn't get time to do the assessing? Or is
Correct.
that-
Yes. And they were made aware of that a little bit ahead of time. I had told them if they were to just approve last year's values, that we would have to address it at county board time. And I would correspond with them between April and now, so.
Okay.
So the residential up 4.13% when everything's factored in, the total of 1.26%. Farmington Township, that was a township that contracted with our office for the first time this year. So there was some major work and detailed work done to that township. There was quite a bit of new construction that hadn't been accounted for throughout the last few years that our office discovered. Some new commercial Quonsets, grain bins at the Nash elevator that hadn't been added. Of course, the Nash School was demolished last year, so that little bit of value, not that there was much there, came off. The house next to it, to the north of it, it was destroyed by fire, so that value was removed. But overall, their residential valuation was up 23.62% this year, so pretty big increase for them this year. We had a few people come to their equalization meeting, but when we explained to them what's going on and maybe what hadn't been done the last few years with their township, it was a little more tolerable for them. And their commercial valuation, you see that 92-93%, that's because of the new construction at the Nash grain elevator, so. Significant changes for Farmington this year. So. Ops Township, there was a new house that is 70% complete come on the tax roll, as well as some market adjustments. So their residential property valuations are up 27.5%. Total for the township would be 1.27%. Prairie Center Township, they did have one residential property where the remodel is now complete, as well as some market adjustments for the residential properties. When residential valuations are up a little over 15%. Bertle Township was all market adjustments, about 20.65%. Been trying to catch up with Bertle Township the last few years, so made some more progress there.
Are you saying Fertile Township wasn't being assessed properly?
They were on the low end when I first started doing the contracts, assessing for them, yes.
Okay.
Glenwood's kind of in the same boat, mostly market adjustments this year, up another 17.41% for residential. Eden Township is up 11% on residential. They did have one property that came off the farm residence exemption that's now on the tax roll. Rushford Township, again, market adjustments up 11.95% for their residential values. Kensington Township, market value adjustments again, 13.31%. And we have had a couple significant sales in the Sandwood North area since we can't turn the calendar year, so we'll be looking hard at that area again for next year's assessment. We just can't keep up on a lot of these areas, the values. So. They did have a little bit of commercial increases. Orders sold their property higher than we had it at, so we can take a look at that. So overall, Kensington will be up 5.3%. Dundee Township, some market adjustments again, 21.32. This is one of the townships that I've been working steadily on the last 3-4 years, trying to get them up in line with other townships. Medford Township, they have one property that is now on the farm residence exemption. But their residential valuation is still up 10.12% with the market adjustments factored in.
Ed, can I ask a question? When we're adding farm residence exemption, or are some of these brand new, or are they just, they were off and they came back on again?
Some are brand new, some are off that didn't turn in their applications to me when I may have sent them out a year or two ago.
Okay.
Now they're getting their tax bills and realizing, hey, I need to do this.
Okay.
So, the tax bill was for a lot of applications.
Yep, I figured, but I just wanted to clarify.
Vernon Township, I don't do that one, but I believe that was all Market adjustments, they approved a 21.68% increase. You'll see commercial valuations in that township are up over 23%. Because, I did look at the gravel pits again this year. Added the acres that needed to be added, so Vernon Township added some commercial valuation for gravel pits again, so. Trying to stay on top of those every year or two going forward now.
Any complaints?
Not this year, no.
Good.
So. Golden Township, they approved a 7.61% increase to their residential valuation due to market adjustments. Lambton Township. Residential up 14.62% due to market adjustments. Lambton again, same thing with their commercial, they had some gravel pits that expanded. So their commercial valuation is about 19.31%. So their township is up 4.15% total. Cleveland Township did have one new house added to their tax roll. That's the bulk of their residential increase. So they're a 43.41% increase, but that was mainly due to the new construction. Norton Township was one that I threw through my office, and we really had to look hard at those this year. 42.76% increase, that was all market adjustments.
Wow.
Well, there's not a lot of properties, taxable properties in that township, but they took a large increases this year. They were undervalued compared to neighboring townships, but sales were strong, so. But the board did approve them, and I don't believe I had any appeals at that point, so. Vesta Township up 18.17% for residential properties. Was all market adjustments. Tiber Township, they approved a 10.97% increase to their residential valuations. And they had some commercial structures that were removed or came off the tax roll. Burke Township, they approved an 8.98% increase to their residential valuations. Latona Township, didn't do a lot with that one. Their valuations were actually fairly good. They did approve a 4.35% increase to their residential valuations. Again, not a lot of taxable residential properties in that township. Adams Township, they had one property with a new garage added to the tax roll, and then added some market adjustments. Their residential property was up 15.84%. Sylvester had one property, higher valued property come off of a farm residence exemption. They did have another lower valued property go on a farm residence exemption. So their residential value is actually up 50.32%, mainly due to that one property that came off farm residence exemption. And then if you remember, we took the seed plant, it's no longer, and Sylvester is no longer operating. We approved an abatement for them a little while back. So their valuation came off the commercial tax roll. Sauter Township had one property that is now on a farm residence exemption. And they did have some market increases, so their residential valuation is up 7.25%. Shepherd residential valuation is up 16.43% due to market adjustments. Dewey, same thing, up 7.97% is what they approved locally. And then the final township, Kinloss, they approved a 9.32% increase to their residential valuations. So now we get into the cities in the county. Grafton, of course, has their own local city assessor. He's done a lot of work. Their sales ratio was low as well on residential properties, so City of Grafton ended up being up 9.16% in residential valuation, almost $14 million total. Commercial valuations were up, a little over 5 million, 10.33%. So total of 9.44% is what the City of Grafton approved. Almost $19 million of valuation increases. City of Park River, this is after the Matt Byron appeal. Valuation is already factored in here. Their residential valuations were up 3.08%. If you remember from last year, Park River did some major increases to their residential valuations last year. They kind of ripped the Band-Aid off 1 year before the rest of us. So they didn't have to do major changes this year. Commercial valuation is up 58.77%, basically due to the Walsh drain. The original construction of Walsh drain is off the payment of taxes and is fully taxable as real estate comes. They're up a little over $11 million, total of 14.26% for the city of Park River. And they have their own city assessor as well. The rest of the cities are done by either our office or other local assessors. City of Minto, we had some heavy increases in residential property due to sales over the last couple of years. Almost 21% increase, and that was basically all due to market value increases for Minto. So total for Minto would be up 17.77%, 4.36 million. RDOC, I even bought a couple of properties in RDOC that I felt should be increased. They were up 18.05% residential, total of 3.11% for the city. Forest River approved some market increases to their residential, 9.72% for residential, total of 7.09 for the city as a whole. Conway, nothing much has changed there as far as the residential values. They had one house that was demolished. That's why their valuation is actually down 3.07%. City of Hoople, another city that we had to do some large residential market increases to. They're up just under 15% for the residential valuation. So a total of 12.05 for the city as a whole. Pisa City did approve 9.16% for the residential values. City of Edinburgh, similar to the city of Park River, they ripped the Band-Aid off the residential values last year, so they were only up 2.06% this year. Fordville City, again, there was some good sales, residential sales in Fordville over the last year that were significantly more than we had it valued at, so they approved 24.6% increase to their valuations in the city, 9.52% overall. Lincoln City approved 13.18% increases to their residential values due to market adjustments. Adams City as well approved a little over 22% increase to their residential values due to some strong sales there as well. Total 13.99%. And City of Fairdale, 8.71% of market adjustments to their residential property. So page 55 shows your total numbers for Walsh County. Overall, residential valuations are up 10.76%. Just under $40 million of increases to residential properties. That's a big number for 1 year.
Yeah.
And I applaud all the local assessors for doing what they needed to do. Taking a hard look at their properties as well as our office. It wasn't an easy year for residential assessments. And then commercial, we were up a little over 16 million, again, mainly due to the Walsh drain and the city of Grafton bumping up their commercial valuations to 14%, low 14%. So county as a total, again, you'll see that 55,742,000 number total increase in valuation of 4.42% for the county. And then the last two pages are the final ratio adjustment worksheets, and this shows last year's true and full valuation compared to the numbers before you today. And the numbers in yellow at the bottom have to, in order to be within tolerance of the state tax department, have to be between 0 and 10%. So both commercial and residential property are within tolerance based on these new assessments. Residential is barely there. 9.978, even with all those increases. So, So we are there. And then the city of Grafton has their own ratio study that they complete. Again, their commercial is there and so their residential, but they didn't have a lot of real room in their residential area. I believe we will be within tolerance if you approve these valuations.
Do I have a motion to approve the evaluation?
I'll make a motion to approve the evaluation.
Second. Any more questions or discussions for Ed on annual equalization report?
Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, if there's no more questions or comments, I'll take the roll. Christie?
Yeah.
Ernie?
Yes.
Danny?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Myself, yes, motion carried. Abatement application.
Yeah, so we did have one abatement application again for you today, Michael and Christy Stoltman. Applied for 2023 and 2023 tax years, they feel they qualify for a farm residence exemption. This is one of them that didn't, turn in the application to me back in 2021. It's unfortunately for them, it's too late to apply an abatement for 2021, but they can for 2022, 23. They've submitted everything they need to show that they qualify. Walterville Town already did approve this abatement application, so I recommend that the Walton County Commission approve a motion to change the true and full value of this parcel to just a land value of $4,700 for the 2022 and 2023 tax years.
Do I have a motion to accept this application?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, I'll take the roll. Danny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried. Anything more for Ed? Hearing none, we'll move along. Thank you.
Take that.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And we'll have, this is Ed Sibney step up here. The pretty one. There you go.
Should we ask them?
Good job in general.
When you see 40% in residential, you know why the state mandated that they do this. Yeah. It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Everybody wants to say it.
If you didn't like it, yeah.
Did you have an extra one? Yeah, just.
It's
Yeah, okay.
Okay, go ahead, Stacy.
So I just wanted to come and provide an update on work the JDA has been doing. Titled with an impact report because it is June. Normally we do an annual report, but it's been busy. So just to give you an update on what the JDA has been working on, what's rolled over into 24 as well. So we'll go through this report with you. You can see the first page talks about the fact that the JDA executive director position was vacant for about 9 months in 23. But despite that, there was a lot of things that were accomplished. Later, probably the fourth quarter of, well, maybe second quarter, third quarter of 23, the board opted to enter a contract with the regional council for staff. So that's the full-time executive director, which is myself, and then a part-time fiscal manager, which is Lori Easted. And that current contract expires in December of 26. But in the interim, the board of basically volunteers did step in and do a lot of the mission of the JDA to make the projects possible. The bottom of the first page just shows who the board members were in 23. And then there's a footnote there as far as the changes that came about for 24, to fill a vacant position, and then a township officer stepped off, so a new one stepped on. And just so, we've talked about this before, but the makeup of the board is required by Century Code as far as who is on the board. So second page, these are a couple of regional initiatives that the JDA is partnered in. The board understands that we are stronger together, meaning with the region, especially with large and complicated projects and issues like people attraction and housing. So the Real Good Northeast North Dakota initiative is basically a people attraction. It's for visitors and workforce. There was state and regional grant requests submitted in 23. And this is for Walsh, Pembina, and Nelson counties. And I'm happy to say they were successful and there's been a staff hired to lead this initiative. And that person is going to be basically working to implement the workforce plan. The initial grants for phase one were to develop the plan. And now, the second set of grants basically for phase two is to implement the plan. And what that includes is noted there in the second paragraph, but it's marketing, an enhanced website. If you haven't seen it yet, please check it out. Social media, paid marketing, merchandising, and then there is a board of employers that are also advising on what they need to help with people attraction. So as part of the marketing plan back in December, we developed a 12-hour day for video content. And it was almost all shot in Grafton and Parkerburg. So if you follow the socials, look on the website, you'll see people you know, because it's kind of fun stuff. So the GD committed $32,000 in grant match for that project. The other regional initiative is a rural housing study that's under development right now. That is for all 4 counties, so Welsh, Pembina, Nelson, and then rural Grand Forks County. And the goal here is to create an action plan for both for ideas on how to preserve the existing housing stock, as well as expedite development. And why it's because housing has a significant economic impact, obviously. Obviously, also very much affects the people attraction part too. So many of you have participated in the process thus far, which we appreciate. The JDA did commit $10,000 to the $85,000 study. One of the board members sits on the advisory committee. And a draft of the plan is actually expected later this month. And then we'll be talking about implementation. Basically, you fund these plans and then the next step is you talk about how to implement them. The Career Builders Program, I know I've come and talked with you before about that, so I won't spend too much time on that. But it obviously continues to be very successful. That pie chart notes that there was 23 job placements in 2023. But the footnote, we're up to about 32 now. The JDA commits $40,000 annually to support this program. Christy sits on the board. Again, it's been very successful. On the top of the third page is some specific business projects that the JDA supported in 23. The middle column, the details is you could look at that as well, the JDA committed to those projects. But I probably want to focus on that gray circle or gray box in the bottom to show that, in total, the JDA's commitment, 4% of those projects isn't significant. But the point here is that oftentimes the JDA investment is a catalyst to the project moving forward. So while the JDA commitments was $37,000 in these projects, the total investments, the total result is over $1 million in terms of what those projects have done and what they make things happen. And then I also want to know too, that JDA does have a very active and healthy loan portfolio. So these were 4 projects, but there's 33 others that are also being supported.
And Stacy, some of these are projects where the business couldn't go forward if we didn't loan them whatever, $5,000 or $10,000.
A lot of them participated in the Bank of North Dakota's FlexPace program, and that required the community share. And that's where the JDA comes in. They provide the community share as a deferred loan. And there will be businesses who would not start without that program, and then which requires a community share.
Are you still doing quite a few interest buy-downs too?
Yes, that's basically what this is. Yeah, same thing. Then just some other housekeeping, we did in 23, obviously cleaned up the board, filled the vacant board positions, updated the bylaws, revised the loan and grant policy, and then the board adopted a purchasing and procurement policy, which it didn't have previously, but was necessary for the child care project. Which is the bottom box there. I'll come back to that. So let's go to the back page. These are just some additional events, community workforce development events that the JDA supported. There was a talent show in January. And then in October was the 6th annual manufacturing day, which I coordinated that. That's an opportunity for area 7th graders to tour manufacturers between Walsh and Pembina counties. The goal is to change misperceptions or perceptions of what manufacturing is, help potentially build the next generation of workforce. In case you aren't aware, there are more than 20 manufacturers and food processing companies between Walsh and Pembina counties alone. And 2 of the 8 that participated in 23 were Harrison Industries in Minto, and then Marvin in Walsh County, in Grafton. One of my favorite comments was a student said, who thought of all these things? Like when they were touring, and like putting the connections together, like there are all these great things happening that they didn't know about.
Stacy, I just wanna say, I think this is one of the JDA's and, best things that they do is this manufacturing day and how many, kids it reaches and then it goes home to the parents and they tell the parents about what's going on. And I think I've helped out with probably 4 or 5 of them. And they're just a great event for the kids. Thank you for.
And the adults. I got the tour of American Crystal this
Oh,
year.
yes,
Fascinating.
yes. And
Fascinating.
if you ever get called to come and help with it, please do, because it's a lot of fun and you learn a lot too, so.
Then we go back to page 3, I just want to give an update about the child care center. I know I'd come previously and give you an update about this, but just a reminder, this is basically a project that JDA has led, to create a turnkey child care facility, to reduce the capital investment for a provider to scale up their business, to provide more child care, here. And why, again, we are in a child care desert, what is known as child care desert. Walsh County has 29% of the needed supply to meet demand. Nowhere has 100%, and that's a fallacy, but 50% is what's considered healthy, and Walsh County is barely even half of that. So this project again, the goal is to create a facility that an existing provider could move into, scale up and add childcare slots. We have secured a ton of money, $894,000 between grants, commitments, et cetera. It still wasn't enough when we opened bids. They were opened at the end of May. They're still about $300,000 short. And so worked with the city of Grafton, and they're basically offering a line of credit, essentially a 0% interest line of credit, so that the JDA can accept the bids and move forward. And then we're going to continue to fundraise and write more grants to bridge that gap. So the goal, hopefully, once construction gets started, because we're in the process of signing contracts, that the construction will be over the summer, with the hope to open this fall, and then she would scale up her business, so hopefully by like first quarter of 25, add the additional slots. She could be up to 55 to 65 kids.
Excuse me, Stacy, I'd like to commend the city of Grafton for offering this loan to the JDA for the childcare, $300,000.
The project would not have moved forward without someone else stepping in.
No, and we were, up a deadline. So I'd just like to thank the city of Grafton for the commission. And the people who worked hard and putting it together and going to ask. It's not easy to go ask for, can you borrow us $300,000 for a while till we can pay it back? I mean,
I would like to say the mayor offered.
he did offer before.
He understands
Great.
the need for this.
Yeah.
It wasn't an ask, it was an offer,
Okay.
which is even better.
That's right. I did read that. But yes, thank you for all that work you put into it.
So I just, like I said, just wanted to provide an update on some of the things that JDA has been doing. And obviously a lot of these things are gonna continue to roll over and have rolled over into 24. Anybody have any questions?
Have one. What's the goal opening date for the daycare?
Hopefully, well, depends, we're in the process of signing contracts, it kind of depends on that, but hopefully November-ish,
Okay,
October, November-ish, so.
good.
Any more questions for Stacy? Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you, Stacy. Yep. We'll have Ron come up and talk about this rehire.
Good morning. I'll be looking for a motion to rehire for a Park River spot and a road deputy spot for the sheriff's office.
So move.
I'll second.
Any more discussion?
We behind on wages again?
Yes, I will be bringing that to you. Yes,
It'll be a budget.
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, I've been kind of snooping around and, yeah, I thought we were getting ahead when we did it, but it's like everybody else had to move up too.
It is a very changing market for sure.
Yeah.
So, the one for the road position is going to Grand Forks County and, he said it was a money issue and, gonna be starting at $5,000+ more.
Yeah.
Grand Forks County, so
How about the city, excuse me,
the city of Park River,
Okay.
did they leave money as well?
they did not say.
Okay.
So, yes, I will be bringing a new proposal forward at budget time. And I will give you ample time to look at that before.
Okay, I'll take the roll call. Denny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unless you have any questions?
How do we keep up with this? When our hands are tied and we can't get any more money?
What do you want, law and order?
No, I'm not against it.
No, I know what you're saying.
We probably talk about that in budget.
We have to
Want
keep
stay
up.
on track there.
I don't know that we have a choice. I
Yeah, I'm all for it, but how do we keep finding the money all the time?
understand. I get where you're at. So,
Amy?
okay,
Just you have that, there is money or to kind of, weren't we using, we're getting some funding that was gonna be using for, was that a state grant or what came in that was to try to maintain or be giving kind of that bonus, or we talked about how it was delineated?
the back of the blue money.
Yes,
Been used it.
it's gone.
The back of the blue money was a good thing. Comma, but it wasn't near enough, and, I think, yeah, I think it had limited success. To come down to it, it was less than $1,200 for a year. And that, I'm not denigrating $1,200, but, I don't think it was enough. And we were paying that over a year's period, so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I would say it's better than nothing.
Full course.
15.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna move on, because I wanna stay
Thank
on
you.
track.
Thanks,
Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
I think we'll do the Mattochik Dam. We talked about Mattochik Dam rehabilitation project design at our last meeting, and now we have before us a letter to send to them saying that we feel that the alternate, that we would like to voice our support for the Walsh County Water Resource Board's choice of Mattochik Dam alternative 2 versus 3. There are several concerns about it here. But we have to, do we vote on this or just sign it? It's just a letter of support.
Well, I guess just if everybody approves it, we wrote it. Christie, I'd like to thank her for helping me and Sarah, but we just figured this was the best way Sarah looked at it, the water board and everything else, and I don't know if we gotta approve it. I just wanted you guys to read it and understand what's happening and sign it.
Yeah, and we all did get this in our packet to read, so I guess I'll take a motion to approve signing this letter of recommendation for alternative 2 instead of alternative 3. So moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I don't know.
Goodness, what's? Okay, any more discussion? Danny?
I guess I would like to know what the difference is.
It was,
There's 3 of them, right?
Basically, the one the last one that they wanted us to go with was $3 million less. And that's, in that one, they would have put curves on the end of the road. The road would have been on the west side of where the road is now and lower. So, and then there was a drop in the road so the water could get through. So that was a big issue with the water safety. And not only that, snow. So, and then they were proposing cause they wanted that one, they were proposing to tar 19A. So all that, and then all of a sudden, who's gonna pay, and it stipulates that in there, who's gonna pay for maintenance of the highway, this, that, and that, and then safety. And, Ron wrote a letter from the sheriffs and and other things, and Brent was supposed to do, and I haven't seen his yet, but it was a lot of concerns. You start taking that road and putting 2 curves on the end of it, you know, like this, and then go straight, and then try to get machinery or locals through there. And then if it's blocked, what happens to everybody to the south? How do they get to Lincoln with produce or emergency or? So, yeah, it was, I still don't understand. They gave us 3 alternatives and they picked number 2 the first time. And then they came back and said, no, that's not good. You gotta go with this one. And then they changed it and put all the tar in there and the changing of the curves. And so I don't. So we just,
It's all in here.
The start date?
no, I don't think they've come there because they're waiting for this to make this decision on the 3 alternates.
It all came down to money,
Yeah, 3 million.
like always.
Do they have a total price on?
There was one that was 30 million, this one I think was 22 million that NRCS wanted to go with.
The one, but when they switched it and added all that, it was 29 or something.
29, then it went up, when they were gonna pay 19A, then it went up to 29 million, so it was only a $3 million difference.
See, the one that the alternate 2, I think is 32, isn't it?
I think
I don't know if I remember,
32.
it's right in there. There was 3 million difference between the 2 of them. And we stated in the letter, you can read it about safety and loss of life.
What percentage are we? Liable for?
I don't remember.
On the 32 million, we would have been responsible for about $1 million, is
Yeah,
what
it
it
was-
calculated out
yeah.
to be.
See, and then when they come back with the alternates, at first it was 8 million difference. They said, we have to come up with that finding. Well, now they're at 3 million if they do it, so we're still gonna have to find maybe 4 million. So I don't, it's up in their hands, but. I don't know, I hope they go with the
But
same
ultimately, it's their approval, NRCS, or is it
NRCS.
NRCS?
Well, no, it's water board, right? I mean,
Well, yeah,
in the end, if they're willing to come up with the extra money, the water board,
Yeah.
but water board can choose whichever option they want.
They just have to make the difference.
They have
Yeah.
to make the difference up, so NRCS is saying this is the option that we'll pay for, but if you guys wanna go with the other option, you can. But you pay the difference, that's the way I
Yep,
understood it.
yep, yep.
Can they come up with it?
I don't know. They didn't have an answer at that meeting. They're on a tight budget down there now.
I know.
So I don't, realistically, I don't know where they find it, but probably could. Maybe, I don't know if there's other grants or anything.
Jason? Excuse
The
me.
difference won't only be the water board, they'll have to come up with the difference. The county has a cost share as well. The county would have to come up, help make that difference. It's not just a water board difference, like making the difference up. So I just want to make sure that was.
Yeah. And this is just to say that we want number 3 or number 2 instead of number 3.
That we're
So,
supporting the water
yes.
board's decision.
Yes, so let's vote on this. I mean, we did talk a little bit, all of your questions are in here. A lot of questions we don't have, we can talk to the water board about.
I just wanted to bring it all out for the public during the meeting.
Okay, I'll keep you updated as whatever goes on here, so.
I'll take the roll. Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Danny?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Myself, yes. Motion carried. Okay, I'll send this around for everyone to sign,
And like I said, I'd like
and
to
then I'll bring, Jason up here next.
thank Christie for all her help with this too. I'm not good at writing letters.
Yeah, you took kind of spirit of this, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should be going through to help and then of course, Sarah, we went through it. Sometimes the way we put words aren't the way they really should be written.
Okay, Jason.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a couple of updates with you all. The first one is from the safety manager position, which can, main heads, your head for are the county. With the babysitting, I guess, is the best way to do it. She's babysit all us to make sure we do the classes, they can submit it out to us. Has to hound some people for it, but with her commitment to making sure it happens, we've gotten discounts from, the LMS, Learning Management System, the premium safety for drug, and maintenance, management and drug-free workplace training. And also for the premium dividend credit check refund. All in total, between the 3 refunds that we received is $16,412.17. So I just want to take this moment to recognize that work and let everybody in the county know, for our employees, it is worth something for us to go through these things, and thank Tammy for basically babysitting all us grown people for making sure we follow through with our commitments.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks, Jason.
so I want to bring that one up to everybody, and so. The other one is, I gave, after the last meeting, I handed out the 2023 annual report. Just if anybody had any questions over it, we had some expenditures on different portions. And with it's a little bit later than usual, but we were, Tammy, once again, and Christie were working on making sure numbers matched up. I don't know how many hours they had to deal with that, but we got it taken care of.
Are there any questions on the annual highway department report?
I have three.
Yeah.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so on page 15.
Yes.
It's the income statement.
Yes.
And it shows snow removal of $117,630. Is that coming from townships or who are we doing the snow removal for?
That's was some townships, what we do for townships for going and doing that stuff. There are some private people who ask us to come through their yards every now and then if we're through there too. The private isn't really that much, but mainly it's townships for cleaning their roads and clearing them out.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we will do for private individuals as well if they ask.
If we have time and they ask, yeah, but they'll have to pay for it. It's the same as other people. We don't do much of it because we honestly just don't have the time. This last year, we actually had the time for it. Most of the time, we don't have time for it.
Right.
Last year was,
No.
right.
Okay, my other question is on page 48. Department meeting expenses. And I just saw there was a meeting with Jason and the total cost was $11,285. And I guess I'm just curious what's.
Those are meetings that we have quarterly with the managers and then the time with our other people where we come in and meet with different things. Some of those meetings are just ones we've done where we make sure everyone's on the same page, get together and basically, we have kind of a bonding type issue as well. So getting things.
Quarterly meetings with the employees.
Yeah, quarterly and then.
So are you calculating salaries in the 10,000 in the labor or where are we coming up with that amount?
That's salaries. Everything needs to be accounted for someplace, so that's the salaries for everyone's.
It's not extra paid, but
No,
it's
not
what,
extra.
yeah.
Yeah.
If they're there 2 hours, that's what it costs to have the meeting that.
And it's not just quarterly, we have other ones on top of it too. The quarterly ones we have are just with the shop leads. And Ernie makes the ones usually make them myself. Those are,
Okay.
that's a little bit longer.
Okay. All right, that clarifies that.
We found out they're very beneficial, I think. Everybody sort of talks things over and whether it's equipment issues or whatever, so.
Mhm. Okay, and then the other question I have was on page 23. I don't know if it's so much a question or more so an observation, but if I look at, in 2016, there was an overlay county road 12B south of Red River, so 12, our problem. I consider our problem county road.
Yep.
The total cost was $1.3 million.
Yeah.
Just 4 years later, in 2020, County Road 12B gravel reconstruction.
Yep.
Total cost was $1.9 million. Within 4 years, we put $3.2 million into that road. I know some of that was federal money, but, or not federal, but North Dakota DOT. But I guess I just would like to point out that that road is costing us a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it supports why we need to look at paving that 12B.
Well, in the overlay portions is part of doing those things, but then, you know, the two pieces of it, going afterwards, when we do with the paved B, when they put the base one in there, that was supposed to basically become our pavement.
But it didn't. It didn't work.
It's not working as much as an asphalt, but at the same point in time, we have to put as much money into their sense with the amount of gravel that goes onto it. With the blading goes to it, so it's reduced on those portions compared to your chip seal that would have to go over to it, your crack sealing and those things. So it's, I would say it's probably a wash between them, honestly, but I haven't thrown the actual numbers together, but.
Or if we had paid, we wouldn't have a road that was in such tough shape. At times.
At times.
At times, you know.
At times it's undrivable.
Yeah, we still got, I mean, there's rock well that showed up in the middle of the road this year in a spot where they've never shown up before. So we're watching that, but it's. I don't know if people like to hear it, but on County 1, between 32 and 18, we have a lot more problems with frost boils than we do on 12B, where that road is much more dangerous than 12B is.
Well, after I've been on that road.
It's bad.
Yeah.
We're County 1 again, remind
It's
me.
right on the county line between Hoople and Edinburgh is that the portion we have the biggest problems with. We used to have another problem that was just to the west of the intersection of Highway 32 and County 1. But with the installation of a culvert, that has solidified things. It's basically getting the water in through that area.
Is that a school route as well?
I believe there's school buses on it. I know it's the traffic route that a lot of farmers use to remove product between Edinburgh and Hoople when the road restrictions are on, so it gets pounded. It's worked hard.
And my concern with 12B is that is heavily utilized by our students. It's a school route between Fordville and Park River for co-op sports. I mean, I think we need to stay on top of this one, and I know I'd asked you to do some checking on it, and I just, after looking at these numbers, and then also we talked about with the flex funds, it was not going to cost as much to pave that road as we initially thought. We were actually, I was shocked at the fact that it was way lower than what we expected, so I guess I would like us to continue to look at what we can do about 12B.
Go put a traffic counter on there and find out just what kind of use it.
I've been talking to the state, they do traffic counters around different areas. I'm actually looking at going out and pricing them to see what we can have for putting one in. I spoke with KLJ, they have some available, but they're older units, they're not sure the reliabilities of them. The DOT has them, but you can put a call and put them out, but they can't stay there for very long, they stay there for a couple of weeks.
Maybe I'm overthinking it, but can we just put a game cam on?
Then somebody has to physically count, or will it count for you? I don't know.
It snapped the picture, but at night it probably won't work clear.
I guess one of my main concerns is when I heard that there was an an emergency call out in the Fordville area. And I heard that the Park River ambulance actually bypasses County 12B at times because it's not safe to drive on. We're talking about Mattochik Dam and being so concerned about County 14B, and I agree, or County 14, I agree with that, but I think we're forgetting about 12B. We have a major issue there.
Yeah, we definitely have some major issues in multiple places. I'm not gonna discount 12B but one loss of life is too many. We heard that from Vision Zero this morning. I don't wanna hear it, and every time it happens, we have issues. Our guys do a response and have had to run into different things, with helping for getting the sheriff's department to places too, and see things I wish they'd never have to see. But there's also the point in time where people need to be accountable for their own actions, and if they have questions about a road, don't go down it. Taking a different route. Is it gonna cost you a little bit more time? Yes.
Some of the
Same thing
people
with
along that road can't go a different route.
Some-
You have no other route but to drive out to your county road and take that to a certain point and then take a different route, but.
So, okay. Is there any more questions about Jason's report?
Not a lot of report.
Because we could, I mean,
But I think if we're gonna pursue 12B on the state funding, we've gotta have some record of traffic use. And how we compare with traffic use on compared to the other roads. We've gotta have some numbers if we're gonna go after state money.
I can work with local government to see when they can get their traffic counters out there, see if we can get that on the list for next year. For when we put them out, also like I said, I'll take a look at purchasing our own, because sometimes it'd be nice to have some of the information when we need it, and not have to wait for it, so.
maybe you can give us an update in 2 weeks on what you find out about that.
The traffic counters?
Yeah, on 12B.
Good job on this.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to have again.
Thank you.
Okay,
I have a question for you, but
Yeah.
is it on this?
No. It's just a question about a road. Did the Voss Road, did he get it done?
No.
So are we closed there or are we open?
It's
or-
still closed, and it's a mess. So I stepped out earlier, it's Royal down the area, so. The problem with it going so long, it's taking longer than it should, because there's 100 pair of fiber optic line right there.
Okay.
So it's $1,000 per pair, so you gotta make sure you're nice and slow with that one, because it's right in that spot.
About the Bridge North Adams.
Bridge North of Adams, we went out and did an inspection of it yesterday. We did not cut the road because we were worried about the water coming through that spot and there's no detours around those. We waited. What they found is the top 6 to 7 feet is solid, and below that, it's super. There's no structural load, so we will end up cutting that road. It's prepped for right now. We're stockpiling product out there in Adams, the north lot today. And the plan is tomorrow that we're gonna have to cut that south abutment and go in and redo the approach to it from the base up, so we can solidify that.
How long will be on?
2 days, or kind of, on other, so we're hoping to get it done within a week, but it may take longer. I don't know what Mother Nature does to us. What we have found out with that is, in the past, there was a water issue in that south abutment where it had gone through portions. That's why if you look at the south and west corner on that wing, there's a concrete slurry to try and help things out. But we're not sure if that's all they did, or if they ever went back in and underneath and checked the rest of it. But we just know we have to do something to stabilize that. We can't keep putting in asphalt patches on it every 2 years and making it so they cannot address the situation that's below it.
I had some concern with the way it was flagged, warnings before people were hitting it. Some people weren't seeing the flags. Did they change any of that?
Yeah, they were supposed to put bigger bump signs up there, so, yeah, but. Yeah. Whether we had, or they got taken down, we've had 3 phone calls today where, signs that we had up were taken down. One of them in particular are a bridge closed, where somebody moved the barricades so that they can continue to drive across a closed bridge, so. You know, there's the signage that we put out there, whether it's speed limits, road closures, detours, or anything else, it was there for a reason and for people's safety. And to know that people are just constantly take these things down and move them around because it's inconvenient. You know, someone's gonna end up losing a life.
Not acceptable.
It's not acceptable.
Yeah.
So we have to go back out and take 9 hours out of something we've already done and go do it again. It's gonna be the point where we're gonna have to, every time we close a bridge, we're not gonna do it the simple way anymore. When we close a bridge, it's gonna be barricaded with permanent barricades, so we're not going back out.
I think we talked about that before too.
And
So,
there's no reason for people to be taking down the signs, just.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move on then. Thank you, Jason. Ernie, can you give us a update on housing?
The only thing I got from the housing, Jim Shanak has decided to remove himself from the board. Just, he's getting up in age and a little tough to get on, so we need a replacement, so if you guys have any idea or anybody interested that would like to go on to housing authority, they would appreciate it. So, and I thank Jim from the county for his years of service on that board, so.
Okay. I have one update from Tanya about the logo. There were 17 logos submitted from 5 artists. And so Tanya is going to email us and the department heads, and then we will proceed with that. And we'll talk about it next meeting. So that was good news. Yeah, okay, I think one of the last things, if not the last things, is we have Don Mant here to give us an update, and I asked from the Red River Regional Council, so.
Is this anywhere on our agenda, just so we make sure we're,
It was added agenda.
oh, I don't see it.
I didn't add that?
No,
Oh, goodness sakes. Well, it was supposed to be added agenda by me, and that was my
We got the
mistake.
email yesterday too.
Yeah, there was an email, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm fine, I just didn't want to make sure that we have it on our agenda
Yeah.
in addition or something, so that we
Yeah,
get
we've been
it.
talking about a lot of stuff that's not been on the agenda today, so I'm sorry about that.
And I think that's gonna be, let's see what's here.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry. Oh, this is an added agenda, by the way. I just didn't get it on. Okay, go ahead. And I asked Dawn to make this quick.
I just set my timer. My goal is to come in under.
Thank you, Dawn.
I appreciate adding us to the agenda. We have been working fast and furiously for the last month or so, exploring a federal opportunity, a HUD program entitled Price. The second page, the colorful handout, is maybe where I'll focus our time today, but we have the opportunity to apply to help with upgrading and revitalizing manufactured housing communities, also known as mobile home parks. This is interesting because I've never really spent a lot of time thinking about this sector, but given the housing crisis that we are in Region 4, this seems like a great component. 15% of people nationwide in rural areas live in manufactured housing. In Walsh County, we have a number of people, I think 30 to 40% of the people in these facilities and mobile home parks are living in units that are 1976 or older, which were not built to the standards they are built today. So we would have the opportunity to upgrade mobile home parks, possibly acquire or renovate or completely redo and make them more family friendly, more appealing places to live. And it can be part of our immediate housing solution because of the quick ability to move in houses. So some of our goals with this program, it would be a 6-year program. The range we're looking at is anywhere from 30 to $50 million ask for the entire Region 4. We just received City of Grand Forks numbers yesterday, so we're trying to weave them into this ask as well. So initially, we've done a cursory inventory of all the mobile home parks and mobile home homes in the region. And so we need to do a more detailed review of that inventory. So we'll start with planning. We'll also be working on education and outreach for those residents, really to try to empower more home ownership. Some of the people that live in mobile homes are also tenants. So how could we enable them to purchase? We would be able to, with this funding, assist with those purchases and make them affordable at 30% of their income. Also instilling local controls. We're finding the trends of out of state people having interest in buying mobile home parks and earning the revenue off of them. And so we really would like to encourage local ownership, either in the form of a cooperative or a community land trust. The Grand Forks Community Land Trust is working with us, and we're looking at a few properties with them, and we may end up creating an additional land trust for the rural parts of the region. And like I said, we can do home loans and grants for rehab, so we may also be able to invest money in rehabbing those more current versions of those mobile homes, for weatherization and for other upgrades, as well as handicap accessibility issues. So those are the highlights of the program that we are looking at. Like I said, there's 3 of us on this team, fast and furiously putting this together. We were before the Grand Forks County Commission a couple of weeks ago. You may have seen a Herald article about it. They have supported this. The Pembina County Commission reviewed it this morning and will take final action in 2 weeks. And 1 minute left. So specifically what I'm asking of you today is the letter of support. I've included a template in the packet. Agreement on the MOU, our read of the regulations, I think would require us to come together as a region rather than us just as the single applicant, but that all the counties come together. And then lastly, we expect to make significant investment in Walsh County. And we would ask for a $20,000 contribution towards just having some matching funds, which would increase our competitiveness.
Any questions for Dawn? Yes, Danny, I'm sorry, I
Are
thought.
most of
Gave you
those
the-
mobile home parks privately owned?
Yes.
So we would be subsidizing the owners of these?
We don't wish to subsidize the owners, and if we do, we would maybe have some requirements that accompany that subsidy.
Yeah.
And if we acquired the mobile home park, we would have standards that we would maintain as well.
Who's gonna acquire them?
They could be acquired as a co-op of the tenants and
Okay.
so they would own their own properties. That would be awesome as a co-op. The Community Land Trust in Grand Forks is interested in partnering on these projects as another nonprofit that could own. So rather than being profit driven, we're really about providing high quality places to live for that income growth. Our housing study is just wrapping up. I reviewed the second version of it today. If I may just comment a couple of things about the wage increases, we need them. Because new housing construction can't happen on the current wage structures. We've seen a 74% appreciation in housing in Walsh County between 2018 and 2023. So those things go hand in hand, wages and affordability of housing construction. So just a little FYI, I think rural North Dakota has had cheap wages and cheap housing a long time, and neither exist anymore. So.
So Dawn, would we have time to think about this and then act on it for the next meeting?
We would, the next, I think that would be July 2nd.
Yep.
We're starting public comment this Friday. We're required to have a 15-day comment period. So a draft of our application will hit public on Friday. I think that comment period is due July 6th. And then we'll be making final edits. It's due by July 10th.
I guess our thing about today is just, you know, several of them just learning about this. Amy and I, of course, know about it. And give people time to, you know, I guess our big thing is how much do we want to put in it? To decide what.
Yeah, and this would be an initial ask. It would be contingent upon funding. So keep that in mind. And if the plan reveals, we may come back and talk more about other requests in the future if needed. So I did also want to just acknowledge Ed, because Ed kind of set the bar for the region as far as data. So we've been sending the Walsh County information to all the other counties. So I just really want to commend Ed for his great work in Walsh County, finding good data both for our housing study as well as putting something like this together swiftly is not easy in rural areas.
Yeah.
And I asked Ed if he would sit through this conversation, so if he had anything he wanted to add, but our goal would to increase the quality and as well as potentially the tax revenue on these.
So if we decided to give you money, I understand that you would maybe come back for more, I don't know, but we're not bound, like.
It's all contingent upon us getting the award. And like I said, it's an aggressive ask of $30 to $50 million. And region-wide, and we've seen in housing to have the expertise and the skills, things like this need to be regional. Even Grand Forks looked at doing this and they didn't think they were able to do it alone. So, but we are seeing states, others have put theirs out for public comment now, so we're getting to see other applications. And there is a small town in Alaska, 3,000, that's fine, but others are, a lot of them are statewide houses.
Christy?
So give it to me in a nutshell. What's your goal here? So basically, am I understanding this, that you're gonna use, if you get the money, you're going to use it to fix up existing mobile homes? Or possibly bring in new ones? Both.
Yes, and increase the quality of life in those existing facilities. So many of them, some don't have paved roads. They're not, some don't have individual water and electrical meters. Lighting, parks, increasing the livability of those facilities.
Okay, so then the tenants would rent from you?
Currently, it depends on what we would see and how the opportunities would shake out. If we ended up acquiring, they could continue to rent, or they could become owners in a cooperative and they own their own park.
rather than.
Isn't that the essential goal for people to own them?
We're really trying to empower
Yes.
homeownership.
Yeah.
The National Home Builders Association recently released information that 50% of America can't afford a home of 250 or more.
So,
And that's the same in North Dakota. So this is an affordable housing solution.
so we buy the mobile home, or we buy the home, and they purchase it from you at a low interest rate, or how do they own this house?
Right, so we would end up creating a loan program and we would finance and their payment would be tied to 30% of their income.
Income, okay.
Right, and then we would have what we call a soft second mortgage that would sit on that unit. If they ever sold it, we would be able to recoup some of that second mortgage.
Any more questions? I guess we,
A lot of them.
Yeah.
well, and we just saw this before us, so.
And we're happy to have come back.
Yeah, if anybody, I think that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
And if anybody has questions, they can always email Dawn or call Dawn before our next meeting.
Interesting, like
Because we all
the
wanted to
H-2A visa workers, we have almost
Yes.
1,000 this year, over 730 last year. So the housing in our area is just max, there's nothing left.
Maxed and taxed.
And so.
Yeah.
So this is one way to turn some immediate units.
It'd be fast.
Mhm.
I mean, we can't build a big apartment complex, in less than 2 years now.
Tried that.
And, well, sure we did, but I mean. So, well, thank you, Dawn.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you. And we can chew this over. Is there any more business? Did I miss anything? I'm sorry for.
We got budget next Tuesday, right?
Yeah, what's,
What time?
Our next meeting,
8:30 is the start.
Okay, and it's all day, right?
Well, I only have a few scheduled. I sent it on email yesterday, so, I mean, the plan is to have it a full day.
yes, yeah. If we can, yeah, so the 25th. The meeting.
At 8:30.
Yep.
At 8:30, yes.
Okay.